It's 2 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the administrative committee meeting to order. We start on time so we can end on time. We start all of our meetings with invocation and pledge of allegiance. If we can get everybody to please stand, and we'll have Councilman Cam Crawford lead us in the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this time to gather and discuss issues impacting the county. Pray for your favor over this meeting. I ask that you would guide us to make the best decisions possible for the public and the employees of the county. Help us to, during this time, during this season, help us to constantly remember what your Son Jesus did for us on the cross. Help us to keep that in mind throughout our daily walk and in everything that we do. I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Next up is public input. We didn't have anybody sign up for that. So we'll review and approve the agenda contents. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And that passes. How about the minutes for the January 27th, 2026 meeting? Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
That passes. New business. Myrtle Beach Regional Economic Development Corporation update, Ms. Sandy Davis. Saw her somewhere. Oh, there she is.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So this is our first update of 2026. I think I gave, if you did not attend our annual meeting, we passed out our annual report that was available in January. It was held January 8th. We had more than 350 members and local leaders attend. And I would like to thank County Council and staff for attending, Chairman Gardner, Gary Loftus, Danny Hardy, Mark Halsey, Al Allen, Jenna Dukes, Tom Anderson, and then also Barry Spivey and David Jordan. So Chuck Sexton was the speaker of our event. He shared how a manufacturing company opened in their small community and changed their family's life. So that is what we strive to do based on your direction, and we hope the same for our area, that is something that each year we hope to be changing. So we closed out 2025 with 3 announcements totaling more than $25 million in capital investment and 130 new jobs. As for 2026, we've announced the second Amazon location so far with more than $15 million in investment and creating at least 100 jobs. We look forward to sharing more regarding Amazon and other projects this year. We are currently working 278 open leads, and leads are just people communicating back and forth about what their needs are in our area to see if they are a fit before they come out and visit. And projects are companies who are actually visiting, completing their information to work with us and Department of Commerce on an incentive summary. And we are currently working with 54 of those. So that's our largest to date on projects. We continue to do our marketing missions and trade shows. And we are able to pay for that with our private funding, which has grown to almost match our operating budget that we have from the county. And we are up to over $400,000 now on private membership funds. And with that, we are able to attend the marketing missions and trade shows. We have 5 marketing missions planned for this year, and we have 5 trade shows. In addition to what we pay for ourselves, we also are able to attend with Department of Commerce, NISA, South Carolina Power Team, Santee Cooper. So we attended the PGA trade show. It's our first time since we started targeting a golf manufacturer in Horry County. I think we spoke about that before. Not sure why golf manufacturing hasn't ever been a target in our area before, since we are the golf capital of the world. But we attended for our first time this year, and we were able to meet with 10 companies. We also had Tracy Connor and Ryan Cannon from the golf industry here, and they were able to introduce us to many connections to help get the word out in their marketing world. So we were, it was very helpful, and we have already received 4 of the 8 companies that we had kind of communicated with before going has already made interest and would like to visit our area. So we hope maybe we will see them for the PGA One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic. We also attended the Miami Boat Show in February, We met with more than 10 boat manufacturers. I do think the announcement of Ocean Craft Marine going to Bucksport Marina has sparked some extra interest in that, since we have been trying for a long time to get a boat builder. But I also think things that we thought would speed the boating industry along last year with the tariffs seems to kind of be leveling out now until we actually decide what we're doing with the tariffs and where. So I think that has kind of leveled a little bit, and the boat companies are on hold waiting to see where the tariffs actually level out. Zach is in Texas right now. Zach is one of our project managers. He's on a marketing mission trip in Texas with Jeff McKay, who is here today with NISA. He is with Jeffrey DeLong from there, and they will be visiting with 6 companies. And they just want to learn more about our area. Usually when we have someone from Texas, they're not looking to leave Texas and relocate, but more expand into South Carolina due to their customer base. So we have many more trips planned this year: Canada, New Jersey, Connecticut, and other areas. We have a site selector mission planned in New York. That's where we go and sit down with site selectors who work to represent various companies, and it's an easier way for us to get in front of more than one company at a time. Typically with a site selector, they're representing 15 to 20 companies at a time. So for us to be able to meet with 6 of them, that really increases interest for us. In addition, we will be hosting site selectors as a partnership with NISA at the PGA One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic in May, and so far we have 8 site selectors confirmed. To talk a little bit about product, we still have our spec building available at Ascot Valley. We are currently in 2 contracts for additional land, one to expand one of our current industrial parks, and second to open a new industrial park that would have natural gas. We did receive confirmation from NISA yesterday that Myrtle Beach Regional and Horry County received the high impact grant award that we applied for to help in the purchase of that industrial park to have gas, and that is for $372,500. The MBRDC Industry Awareness Course is in its 4th year. I think I talked a little bit about that with you all before. We take we had to kind of cut it off at 2021 leaders in the county. This is the 4th year we've done it. They attend a class where they go out and tour industries one day out of the month, so they end up learning about a little over 50 companies each year. That is in hopes to help spread awareness of how many industries we really do have that most of us are not aware of. And the companies like it as much as the leaders, because you get to find out what kind of skills they're looking for, the pay for those skills, and it's kind of helping us to get the word out to students on the many other diverse jobs we have in the area that people are not aware of. So we will continue to do that. We have graduated over 65 leaders so far, and they're helping share the story of our more than 200 industries we have here. 2026, we have visited more than 36 of them already this year, and we held a meeting 2 weeks ago for them to come in and meet together, tell us what their So it was really good to have that group together and get each other to say, oh, I faced a similar situation and this is what we did. So we'll continue to do that. Natural gas issue has finally begun to move forward. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Dominion, and so the Rivernet gas line is already under construction to continue moving forward. And on July 4th, 2025, the South Carolina Opportunity Zone program became more permanent and updated some of the requirements. We'll be receiving those new requirements and requests for tracks beginning on April 1st. So we will be working with that to hopefully continue all of the tracks that we currently have marked as in the Opportunity Zone. Any questions?
Any questions? Very good, thank you. Good news about that gas line. Now from NISA, all the way from NISA headquarters, Jeff McKay.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, thank y'all for allowing me to be here this afternoon. And Sandy's already told me to be brief or be gone. So I'm gonna hit the highlights from last year. For all of y'all that know, NISA is, we cover the 9 counties in the northeastern section of the state. We perform a variety of functions for the counties that we represent. But what I want to focus on today is probably the most important function based on the counties and how we respond to their needs, and that is lead generation and marketing. So last year, and we, as Sandy said, we've got a team today in the Dallas metro market making calls, and that's a big thing for our counties. They want us out there knocking on doors, trying to generate leads, trying to create activity for them so that we can increase our chances to compete for these companies' business. Last year, we did a total of 16 missions across the U.S., and there's a variety of locations that I could tell you about. It's pretty much all over the country. So far, in this year, we'll be, counting today or this week, we'll have performed 3 missions additional to that. But the desire with all these missions is to try to create enough interest from the folks that we meet with to get them on the ground here within our region. Once we get them on the ground, quite honestly, it's a pretty easy sell. I mean, for those of us that live here and see what we have to offer, it's not hard to convince somebody to give us a chance to compete. So that's the intent of our missions and our project development activities. We finished last year with a total of 71 projects on our books, which was a pretty good increase in the previous year, so the activity is still good. We've also, out of those projects, been shortlisted by a number of those companies who say that if they do something and if they take that next stage, they will be doing it somewhere in our region. That's the good. The bad is the decision-making process that we're seeing right now is at a snail's pace. And depending on which company you talk to, there's a variety of reasons. Sandy already mentioned tariffs have been, it's been a great door opener for those companies that we're trying to get in and talk to who are currently manufacturing something abroad that is impacted by tariffs. They want to bring it back stateside. So it's a great opportunity to talk to them and show them how we can help them. However, things change, as we all know, and so I think there needs to be some certainty there before they're comfortable enough to make that next decision. Also, another concern that we're faced with right now is energy. And, I'm sure you've seen and read and heard about the concerns across the Southeast with the availability of energy and what we're doing on the generation side. That's causing some concerns on our companies. Infrastructure, we're in pretty good shape in this region as far as water, wastewater, and infrastructure, but that is a key concern that we're hearing from companies who are looking globally and want to make sure that that we can provide and support their needs. And then 2 other quick ones: access to capital and competitive rates. There's a lot of private equity financing out there right now. It's a little bit easier to access than the traditional markets. However, it comes with a price. And here recently, it's dropped a little bit, but the rates over the past year have been pretty high, and in some instances, causing some of these companies to rethink their borrowing and lending. And then finally, midterms. And every year there's election, I hear companies using that excuse, but it is just another uncertainty that they want to wait before they make that decision. Some of the sectors that we're seeing, and I'm just going to read a few because I think it goes right in line with what you're targeting in Horry County, but the most active sectors that we're seeing that are interested in considering our region, fabricated and primary metal products manufacturing would be number 1. And I'm going to read these in order of what we're seeing. Food and beverage production, data centers, industrial machinery and equipment manufacturing, wood and paper products manufacturing, aircraft and aerospace product manufacturing, marine and maritime, and then rounding out the top 10, non-metallic mineral production manufacturing. We ended the last year, it was a little bit slower, as I said earlier, than what we'd seen the previous few years. We had 13 announcements with a little over 400 jobs with a total capital investment of a little over $426 million across the region. To date, in 26, to give you a comparison, we've already had 4 announcements with over 200 jobs with over 279 million in investment. So we're starting off strong. Hopefully that will continue as far as on the announcement side. What we're seeing and what the companies are asking for on the real estate side, 42% of our inquiries are looking at greenfield sites, which, industrial parks, something with infrastructure already in place. 38% of those are looking for existing buildings only, and 20% would consider either. 44% of our inquiries only want to consider a purchase. 16% would consider a lease or only want lease only, and 40% is either or unspecified. This is where it gets interesting. The average building size inquiry we're seeing right now is 270,000 square feet. And I can tell you 10 years ago, that was probably a fraction of that number. Somebody would consider 50 to 75,000 feet as long as it's expandable. But the projects are getting larger and requiring more space. On the electric side, the utility requirement averages on the electric side looking at 1,480 megawatts per month, with a water usage on average of 175,000 gallons per day, wastewater use of 73,000 gallons per day, which doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about the size of the facility and the wastewater and water usage that they're looking for, but it tells you companies are getting a lot more efficient with their water and wastewater needs, and that's a good thing for us across this region. And this is something that we always talk about in Horry County, which hence goes back to the need for your continual road improvements. The maximum desired distance from an interstate for most of our inquiries, 15 minutes. Only 21% require rail access, but that number has climbed pretty significantly over the past year. I'm going to stop there, but I've brought you as far as the regional health from an economic standpoint, and also the financial health of the organization. Each year we compile an annual report which kind of details all the key facts about the organization from those particulars. But also this is something we have to do for the legislature every year. We've talked about, NISA is very fortunate to be one of the 8 alliances across the state, and within those alliances we have the opportunity to pull down some state funding, but every dollar of state funding we pull down has to be matched with a dollar of private money that we go out and raise. The requirement to pull that down also includes the fact that we have to provide the legislature with an annual report, Chair of Senate Finance, Chair of Ways and Means, Speaker of the House, and the President of the Pro Tem of the Senate, so that they review that to make sure their dollars are leveraged in the way they want those state dollars to be. And I think I'm safe to say we've shown that at each year we leverage our dollars either at the top or one of the top 2 of our peers across the state. So your NISA board members are doing a good job at keeping an eye on that. But I will leave you with these annual reports and be happy to address any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Next up, Ms. Jamie Norman, financial update, February.
Good afternoon. Today we're reviewing financials for month ending February 28th, 2026. Looking at revenues across all funds, we've received $356.9 million. Almost 68% of those revenues are in the general fund. We have $235.5 million in expenditures across all funds. 74% of those expenditures are in the general fund. Looking at the general fund specifically, we have net revenues of $241.6 million. This is almost 84% of the annual budget and well over the 67% mark where we would expect to be at this point in the fiscal year. We have expenditures of $174 million, which is 59% of the budget. General fund total actual revenues are 5.9% higher than prior year, and general fund total actual expenditures are 12.2% higher than prior year. Looking at general fund revenues, we've collected almost 99% of real and personal property taxes. Vehicle taxes, interest, and ROD fees are also doing better than expected at this point in the fiscal year.
Thank you.
Looking at expenditures in the general fund, all categories are performing below where we expect them to be at this point in the fiscal year, with personnel costs at just over 62% of budget. Looking at special revenue funds, the fire fund revenues are at 97.3%, expenditures are at 60.7% of budget, and there's a net change in fund balance of $15.3 million. Road maintenance fund revenues are at 70.4%, and expenditures are at 25.5% of budget, with a net change in fund balance of $5.8 million. Beach renourishment fund revenues are at almost 107%, primarily due to a payment that we received from the city of Myrtle Beach for a renourishment project. There's a net change in fund balance of $6.1 million, with very few expenditures thus far in the fiscal year. But I will remind you of that $10 million encumbrance that I mentioned last month.
What are the expenditures on road maintenance, the budget is what I'm looking at, so high? 43 million? Of course, we do most of our road maintenance in the summertime, don't we? Would make sense.
I will check on that for you. I
Okay.
don't have an answer right now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Can you let me know by 3?
You may recognize that there's a large carry forward from year to year. The revenue there is about 18 million annually, but if it's unspent in 1 year, it carries forward to the
Carries
next
forward.
year. So that's more than 1 year's worth of expenditures that are regularly
Alrighty.
flowing.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
What do you say?
Stormwater fund has a net change in fund balance of $10.6 million. Recreation fund has a net change in fund balance of $3.3 million. And waste management recycling has a net change in fund balance of $10 million. As with the other funds, revenues are performing better than expected, and expenditures are below where we would expect them to be at this point in the fiscal year. And that is all I have.
Any questions? Excellent. Okay, let's move right along. Ms. Todd, GFOA Budget Award.
I have a couple of recognitions to do today. The first one is that Horry County has received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award for this lovely book for the 36th consecutive year. So I'd especially like to thank our finance team, Ms. Jamie Norman, along with Darrell Lundy and Victoria Worley, also our airport finance team, and all departments that contribute to this document. So grateful for all of them and all the hard work that goes into publishing this.
That's incredible.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, please.
All right,
keep
next
going.
up, we're also going to recognize our Veterans Affairs departments. If they're all here, if you would please stand. So we recently received the results from the State Department of Veterans Affairs County Evaluation Assessment. So this is designed to ensure veterans across South Carolina receive consistent, high-quality access to services. There's a few quotes I want to share from the assessment itself. First one is, Mr. Elvis is one of the most experienced and capable CVAOs in South Carolina. Another one, they quote, the Horry County Veterans Affairs Office is one of the most effective in the entire state. And they also said, Horry County Veterans Affairs Office is an exceptionally strong office that serves veterans with dedication and a true commitment to their best interests. So these are just a few examples from this overwhelmingly impressive assessment. This work matters, especially in a county like ours, where we have nearly 30,000 veterans they are assisting every day on top of the tourists that come in. So I just want to say thank you. We're so proud of you and so glad to have you on the team.
Here. All right. Horry County's always been a strong pro-military county. So, moving next up is Shelley Moore for the annual OSHA update. I know everybody's been waiting to hear this.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee members, for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm the risk manager, and I'm going to present to you the 2025 OSHA report on behalf of the risk management team. The OSHA 300A is a summary of workplace injuries and illnesses that were reported to OSHA the previous calendar year. OSHA requires this form to be completed and posted in the workplace every year, beginning February 1st through at least April 30th. Our 300A, as well as its posting instructions, were emailed to department heads on January 30th. You see in front of you the OSHA 300A report. In the upper left corner, there are summaries of number of cases and number of workdays affected by those cases. So first, we'll look at 2025 case numbers, which are in red. When we compare 2025 case numbers to the previous year, we see nominal changes in all case types. Single-digit increases except one slight decrease in medical-only cases. On this slide, we'll look at 2025 work days, which are also in red. And here we see some more important changes. When we compare work days affected to the previous year, we see significant decreases in both categories. 175 less days out of work and 1,075 less light-duty days. These numbers indicate less severe injuries to our workforce overall, which is really our primary goal. Fewer days away from work also means less costly workers' comp claims. While we're never happy to see any increases in our case numbers, even if they're slight, we're very pleased to see decreases in our number of workdays affected. And I say this every year at this presentation, but any decrease is especially noteworthy considering the county's growth. In the year 2025, we averaged 58 more employees and worked over 301,000 more hours than we did in 2024. So please keep in mind, these OSHA numbers are only one of our many measuring tools in risk management. We monitor workers' comp claims costs more closely and more regularly as they have a more direct financial impact on the county. I'm happy to report that our workers' comp experience modifier in this fiscal year is currently 0.85, which was less than it was in FY24. And as explained earlier this month in a council meeting, the South Carolina Association of Counties explained, keeping our modifier below 1.0 does result in premium savings for the county. So as the county continues to grow, risk management remains committed to partnering with all departments to help reduce workplace injuries. I'd like to thank department heads and administration for your ongoing support of our risk management, safety, and light duty programs. Thank you.
Great job. Any questions? Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
That's really good. Okay, next up, Horry County Connect app, Adjusting Schools from IT.
Good afternoon. So in 2018, we launched our HC Connect app. Many of you were here during that time. We have recently decided to sunset the app due to ongoing or increased regulations coming down, and also the increase in technology for website design. So everything we had in the app, we've been able to move to our website, and our website's mobile friendly. And a lot of those different parts are actually more accessible on the website than they were in the app to begin with. But we did want to make you aware that the app is being sunsetted and going away, and all of that is available to everybody online.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir. We're getting more efficient. All right, let's go to our actions. A resolution to recognize April as Fair Housing Month. Ms. Tranter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Sorry, I'm a little bit froggy today. 2026 marks the 58th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Act, which enunciated a national policy for fair housing opportunities for all citizens without regard to race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, handicap, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. The state of South Carolina enacted the South Carolina Fair Housing Law in 1989 to further enhance the goals of the Fair Housing Act. Staff would like to recommend approval of the attached resolution, which designates April 2026 as Fair Housing Month.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And now, a resolution authorizing the Behavioral Services Department to submit and accept if awarded a grant to the United States Department of Justice Office of Victim Services Housing Program.
Thank you, Sarah. This resolution is presented to submit a grant and to accept the grant if awarded for the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Victims of Crimes program for 2 transitional housing units. The Horry County Housing Stabilization Program establishes a structured joint transitional housing and short-term housing program model, providing limited short-term housing assistance, conducting eligibility and determination, integrating victim-specific screening into intake, delivering voluntary housing stabilization, planning, and strengthening the referral pathways across public safety, diversion, and community partners. This project is designed as a partnership among the county, ECHO, which is the Eastern Carolina Housing Organization, and Engaging Minds, which would provide wraparound services. This grant application from the Department of Behavioral Services is for $1.2 million.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Could you give an example of somebody that would be in potentially a user of that money? When you threw out a lot, so I was trying to get an idea.
Exactly. If somebody has been the victim of a crime and they need housing, maybe the person who had been providing that housing was a perpetrator of a crime, then this program provides housing and mental health services, as well as other wraparound services like job skills to those individuals on a transitional basis until such time as they're able to move into a more permanent housing situation.
So we're not buying houses for these people?
Not at all.
Okay.
We're providing a place for them to stay while they're looking for permanent location.
Okay.
I actually got to see it work up close and personal a few years ago with some people that were transitioning. Y'all did a great job with the ECHO program, I think it was. Really good.
Thank you. ECHO is also working with us for people who are transitioning out of custody from JRL. And maybe they aren't housing insecure and need that transitional housing as well. That's through another DOJ grant.
Okay. Motion? Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, so both of those passed unanimously. We'll move on to the resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from project Alpha 0095 to account 540004. Ms. Judy Olmsted.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
The Department of Airports has a new fire truck budgeted in fiscal '27 in the amount of $1.5 million. The new truck replaces a 2009 Rosenbauer, which is 17 years old. Due to the long lead time for an order to be fulfilled, the airport respectfully requests that we transfer terminal contingency funds to that project account prior to July 1st so that a purchase order can be generated for the fire truck. The funds will be transferred right back on July 1st. We are told that a new truck is taking approximately 15 months for delivery, and this transfer is presented for your consideration today.
Any questions?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
A resolution certifying property located at 1009 US 501 in Myrtle Beach as an abandoned building. An abandoned building site pursuant to the South Carolina Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act. Mr. David Jordan.
Yes, sir. In front of you is a resolution confirming that the old food line on 501 as you come into Myrtle Beach is an abandoned building, which makes it eligible for state tax grants. Part of that statute requires a local governing body to certify that it's been abandoned for 5 years. In your packet, I included the newspaper article from the Sun News from December of 2020 announcing the closure of that food line.
Any questions? Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
None. That passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. All right, there's attachments are in your packet. And any old business? Executive session, Mr. Jordan?
No, sir.
Okay. And now, this next meeting will be April 28th, 2026. Anything else from the committee members? Hearing nothing, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.